Hey everybody, it's Chad Warren here at chadwarren.me. Hope you are well. The date is Friday, October 11th. How can we act more based on our interests? My interest I want to focus on today is all the fascinating stuff I am learning about computer programming over at Career Karma. So it's just mind blowing to me. It's like being a alien in another world to to go from casually using computers in our everyday life to realizing just to even see a picture of what the words mean, in terms of deciding, well, what kind of uh, what do I want to learn in the world of computer programming. So I mean, any one of these little points would be a whole world in itself. Let's see how what I was talking with. I just happened to be with Mitch. I think he's over in the data science squad. Hi, Mitch. Thanks for referring to my post in the data science squad. What does the designation next to your name say and mean? I see code as my interpretation. That little pink there, right? Right? Every little thing is its own world. Just that little pink icon thing. I don't know what that means. What are you working on? Have you chosen data science as your area to study? If so, why? I'm still discovering the choices so I can compare and contrast. Mitch says the squad I'm in is undecided. That's funny because, I mean, that's certainly how I feel, and I didn't, see that as an option. We could go all different directions from there. Let's just go and well, let's see what Mitch says here. My personal problem is that data science is a bit closer to my past experience, but some conversations that I had implied that finding a position is substantially harder without a solid math and statistics background. And while I have some formal study under my belt, it's not my specialization. Meanwhile, full stack development seems like the larger area both for boot camps and future employment. Okay. So I like how this is like playing some super intricate video game of like Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so I got to figure out, that's a good tip, right? I was having those thoughts today. Well, maybe what I am likely to get a job in is a good thing to be looking at. What are the employment options in computer science here where I live in North Little Rock, Arkansas? I don't know. It's just like amazing the landscape of infinite information and how naturally compartmentalization would have to work because it's so you got so much to know in so little time in the day uh, to study this stuff. Let alone you got some job and you're working and you're going to be totally focused in on these specialty areas. In general, I think there's a problem between the different ways the mind works to open up to big picture creative concepts versus narrowing down into specific conceptual relations via math. My ACT scores were, super high relative in language comprehension versus my mathematics skills. Some horrible, like 17 or something in math versus like 30 or whatever. So, you know, I mean, all of life is a hard struggle to me. So I don't, maybe I'm crazy, but you should just do what you want to do, and it's all going to be hard. So just learn one thing at a time. Also, it's interesting how all this specific jargon based on computer architecture makes me have to learn what these phrases even mean. And then there's all kinds of defining within each phrase. Like, I didn't know what full stack development means. And I don't know if I still do, other than there are a whole bunch of different components that go into a computer system that a business would use, for example. So let's look at that definitions. Can I blow this up? No. Okay, well then I'll go to the... Alright. A full stack developer is an engineer who can handle all the work of databases. That's like the there on the right. MySQL, MS SQL, any other database. Servers. Okay, so that I guess is ASP.NET, PHP, ROR, Node.is. Systems engineering, and clients. I don't know what systems engineering is. HTML5 and CSS, those are about web pages. I'm just barely learning a HTML Basics 1 at Kinsey Academy's free course, which I just signed up to go to school there for programming for the next year, starting on the 22nd of October. So let's play. You're a student in this role-playing game along with me, and let's define these terms. Angular IS, is that what that says? Web framework. It's a TypeScript based open source web app framework. You know what I mean? I can't even finish the sentence here without having to do some deep thinking. Okay, so let's open source. I know what that is. A web app, that's just an application that's on the internet, I guess, versus, what isn't on the internet anymore. A framework. Okay, so that's some kind of a web framework is that software? Is that hardware? I mean, hardware is the physical movement of electricity through this digital switching, and then software is the code. I assume is the basic distinction there. Let's look up what TypeScript is. Oh, why does it work sometimes and not others? TypeScript definition. A typed copy of a text. I sent a TypeScript off to the publisher. TypeScript is an open source programming language developed and maintained by Microsoft. It is a strict syntactical superset of JavaScript and adds optional static typing to the language. This enables other programs to use the values defined in the files as if they were statically typed. Good Lord. Let's look at a video. Hmm. I didn't think I was seeing like a definition in those titles. Okay, let's see what this says.
Small video, let us try to understand the importance of TypeScript. If you go to the TypeScript site, if you go to typescriptland.org, if you see, it says that TypeScript is a typed superset of JavaScript, but finally it compiles to JavaScript. So in other words, TypeScript is a language, where you go and write in the TypeScript language, but when you hit compile, it will compile to a JavaScript. So the first question which comes to our mind is that why do we need to have one more language over JavaScript? Isn't JavaScript good? People are coding in JavaScript, they are using jQuery, there are frameworks like Angular and so on. So why do I need to now go and learn one more language called as TypeScript and compile it to JavaScript? Now, if you see programmers, who come from C# background, from Java background, from C++ background, these programmers have a very heavy belief in object-oriented programming. So they believe that yes, to have a proper project, you need to create classes, you need to create objects, you need to do inheritance, you need to implement polymorphism, you need to have interfaces, the language should be strongly typed and so on. So there are certain beliefs of people who code in C# and Java, and when they come to JavaScript, suddenly they find that they are in an unknown island. For example, in JavaScript, if you want to create a class, you have to create a function. If you want to do inheritance, you have to use something called as prototype. So what happens is, these people or these developers are trained in a certain way. They are their thoughts are in a certain way, and suddenly when they come to JavaScript, they have to learn something very new, right? And that's where exactly TypeScript comes into picture. TypeScript says that okay, go ahead, use your classes.
Okay, I mean, again, just infinite, amazing thoughts, all these different directions you can go any moment in time. My impression of each little piece of this puzzle. Just I've never worked in science. This is science, right? Which that's why you're getting paid the big bucks because my God, you got to be smart and like smart in this cool way where on the one hand it's just symbols on a screen, but on the other hand you're moving things in the real world. You're I mean, this is the coolest example of thoughts turning manifesting into physical reality. That we all depend on these systems and don't even think about it. So that's like being like a modern priest class for sure. Hadn't even got to like science of physics where you're engineering. You're dealing with physical objects. Just in this world where the thought first turns into action. That's amazing. Okay, let me say too. I don't want to sound offensive or anything. And pardon my ignorance. This guy's from India, Pakistan. I'm sorry, I don't understand the difference between the two. But I worked in a previous job with folks. This is the first time I worked for folks that are from there, and it's just fascinating to think about how our world is so connected. and that these different strengths and weaknesses that each of our cultures has, and how when you're working on this kind of stuff that you end up really being a part of this world class. So that, like, the people that I worked for were super nice, and like I liked how they were, this combination of hardworking, but like real people, and gave me a lot of tolerance to be who I was, and yet they were really working super hard uh, in regards to just testing the signal at cell phone towers. And I was driving around with a handset they gave me, and simple scripts, programs that they had made to record the data signal rates, and upload that information. But there was a lot of communication difficulty. This guy obviously is it really in between both these worlds here, and that is super able to communicate. You got to be breaking all this stuff down, right? So that's just amazing. The disparity, not just in wealth, in financial wealth among people, but in intelligence, and like all these different kinds of intelligence. Just your ability to know something versus your ability to communicate it. That's really interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a sample, and I'll have to figure out. My goal is going to be to make a journal each day of what I'm learning, mainly because it's so in depth that I'm going to have to go through some kind of organization process, because how are you even going to know what you did, what you learned? I mean, just the note taking. Let's see here. This is like from yesterday. So I started to look at open source and learn what that is from DigitalOcean. Open source projects that are hosted in public repositories benefit from contributions made by the broader developer community and are typically managed through Git. This tutorial series will guide you through selecting an open source project to contribute to, making a pull request to a Git repository through the command line, and taking steps to follow up on your pull request. So yeah, let me show you that. Let's see. How to contribute to open source, getting started with Git. Okay, so what this is like where you work on projects and have a portfolio so people can see what you're able to do. I mean, It's amazing how much you got to know just to be able to read it. It's so like just learning a different language. That's what it is. See if I can understand this even at all. The visual X R character command described at help V underscore R doesn't put the replaced text into the register X. Maybe it shouldn't. And the X, is that a string when it has those quotes? I don't know. Part is just a typo since the description. Man, I don't even know. Here we go. Here's something a little more coherent. Cyber Chef is a simple web app for analyzing and decoding data without having to deal with complex tools or programming languages. CyberChef encourages both technical and non-technical people to explore data formats, encryption, and compression. Well, that sounds interesting. Let's look at that. The Cyber Swiss Army Knife, a web app for encryption, which is encoding, hiding your information, right? I mean, what is encoding? Encoding is, what's the difference between encryption and encoding? Compression and data analysis. Cyber operations within a web browser, like, includes simple encoding like XOR or base64. Okay, so I'm just guessing base 64 means something about like 64. Like if you got base 2, that's like digital, like two choices. So each character can either, in digital binary, it's just got off and on. This has got 64 positions for each character. This is how things like Bitcoin cryptocurrencies work, about having complex strings of numbers that are hard to break. You've got encoding and decoding. More complex encryption like AES, DES, and Blowfish, creating binary and hex dumps, compression and decompression of data, calculating hashes. Is a hash, I think, just a long string of numbers, and checksums. Okay, so that's something about comparing like equations, checksums. Internet Protocol version 6, IPv6, and X.509 parsing. Parsing is something about sorting out something, data, changing character encodings, and much more. It was conceived, designed, built, and incrementally improved by an analyst in their 10% innovation time over several years. Yeah, like you gotta like compute, manage your own resources of your day yourself. I assume this is, somebody has this goal of spending 10% of their time coming up with new programs versus working on other people's programs. Just fascinating. I hope this hasn't bored you. I just wanted to give you a look. I am at Let's see. Day 12 in the 21 day hashtag 21 day CK challenge. Here's what the lesson was today: how to get yourself unstuck. Oh, I've never seen this. Check out cool free gifts in the Karma Shop. Well, now, does this, surely this has the information that I've already read. What about that? No. Well, what is Career Karma? A community of peers, mentors, and coaches that will help you along your journey to landing a dream career in tech. I'll just leave it here and continue tomorrow. Invite friends and earn gifts. Earn a ton of free gifts like a t-shirt, sunglasses, wristbands, and stickers when your friends join. If you would like to learn code for fun, you just like you do a jigsaw puzzle, a Sudoku, a video game, you can play this. Career Karma just turned 1 year old, and we wouldn't be able to get here without our community. You all are leading by example and are not just looking out for yourselves. You've been spreading Career Karma to your friends, which has been really helping us grow. With Karma, what goes around comes around. So we're proud to release the Karma Shop. I assume this is the t-shirt you get after the 21-day challenge. Yes, it says that right here. Protect your dreams. Hashtag. You won't be able to buy it. You can only earn it. Career Karma has only one cost. You get guidance from people in front of you, but the only cost is that you help people behind you. It's just really amazing. We're asking you to not just to invite your friends to join, but make sure you explain how the challenge works. Get them to start the challenge and complete day 1. You'll be able to change their lives the same way you are changing yours. This will earn you points that you'll be able to redeem in the Karma Shop. Well, how do I invite people? Where's that button? Let's see. Let me go and see. I'll go to Twitter. I'll show you how real this community is. Make you jealous. I don't care what you're doing. You know, I've wasted a ton of time being on Twitter talking about stupid politics and conspiracies and this, that, or the other, going nowhere fast. These people are really using all this stuff. Let me see. Okay, here's Teamer. He's one of the people that started this. Hi, Teamer. I hope that's how you say his name. How do I invite people to take the what is it, 21 Day CK Challenge. I would assume it would be obvious, but I can't seem to find it. Ah, here we go. Okay. I'm going to put this link in the video, but here it is. All right. Awesome. I hope this was interesting to you. Please, any comments are welcome. What do you think about the idea that maybe everybody should learn computer programming just like we learn how to read and write, just like we would learn a different language like Spanish? What do you think? Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out chadwarren.me, and I'll make sure and put that article up. This is my last one on the 9th, how to get help through networking.